Hey there, my friend. Welcome back to Chill Chat English. It is Eric here, and, well, I am so glad you decided to spend some time with me tonight. Look outside the window. It is raining pretty hard out there, isn't it? The wind is blowing, the streets are wet, but inside here? Inside here. It is so warm and cozy. The fire is crackling. The lights are dimmed, and I have something special for you. Do you see this table? I have 2 mugs of hot chocolate steaming right here. This green one is for me, and this blue one right here, next to the open notebook. This one is specially made for you. So please, pull up a chair. Get comfortable. Wrap yourself in a warm blanket. Take a deep, slow breath. And let's just escape from the busy, stressful world for a while. Let's just talk. You know, tonight, I want to talk about a book that completely changed the way I look at my life. It is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Now, why do I want to share this with you tonight? Well, yesterday, I was sitting right here, drinking some tea, and I was reading through the comments on our last YouTube video. I always love reading your comments. They make me feel so connected to you. And I saw a message from one of our subscribers. Her name is Sarah, and she wrote something that really touched my heart. Sarah wrote, "Eric, I want so badly to speak English fluently. I want to feel confident when I talk. So, last week, I bought this massive, heavy English grammar book. On Monday, I studied for 3 hours. But on Tuesday, I was too tired. On Wednesday, I forgot. And now, it's Sunday, and that heavy book is just sitting on my desk collecting dust. I feel like a failure. Why can't I just stick to my habits?" Oh, Sarah, if you are watching this tonight, first, thank you for being so honest. And second, I want you to take a deep breath and hear me clearly. You are not a failure. Not at all. In fact, do you want to hear a secret? I do this too. We all do this. Have you ever done that? You get so excited about a new goal. You want to get fit, so you buy a gym membership and work out for 3 hours on the first day. Or you want to learn a new language, so you download 5 different apps and study until your brain hurts. But then, after a few days, the energy disappears. You feel exhausted, you fall off track, and then you blame yourself. Why does this happen? Is it because we are lazy? Is it because we don't have enough willpower? James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, says, "No, the problem is not you. The problem is your system. You are trying to build giant habits overnight, and your brain is rejecting them." So, tonight, I want to share the secrets of atomic habits with you. I want to show you how to build tiny, bite-sized habits that are so easy, your brain won't even realize you are practicing. And of course, we will learn some beautiful, natural English expressions along the way. Are you ready? Take a sip of your hot chocolate, and let's dive into Chapter 1. All right, let's start with a question. A rhetorical question, which means a question I want you to think about, but you don't have to answer out loud. Here is the question. If you want to improve your life or improve your English, do you need to make giant, massive changes today? Most people think the answer is yes. We think that to get big results, we need massive action. But James Clear explains a beautiful concept in the book. It is called the 1% rule. The rule is very simple. Do not try to be 100% better today. Just try to be 1% better every single day. Now, you might think, Eric, 1%? That is nothing. If I only learn 1 new English word today or practice speaking for just 5 minutes, that won't make me fluent tomorrow. And you are right. In the short term, 1% feels like absolutely nothing. It is like a tiny drop of water in an empty bucket. But this is where the magic of math comes in. Let's do some quick math together. Don't worry, it's very simple math. If you can improve by just 1% every single day for a whole year, do you know how much better you will be by the end of those 365 days? You won't just be 2 times better or 5 times better. The math says you will be 37 times better than when you started. Yes, 37 times. Think about that for a moment. If you practice just a tiny bit of English every day, just 1%, by next year, you will be 37 times more confident, 37 times more fluent, and 37 times more comfortable speaking. But there is a dark side to this rule too. What happens if you get 1% worse every day? What if you say, "Oh, I won't practice English today. It doesn't matter." And you do that day after day? Well, if you get 1% worse every day for a year, you will decline almost down to 0. This is what we call the compound effect. Small decisions, when repeated day in and day out, build up over time. They create massive results. I remember when I was trying to learn my first foreign language. I felt so overwhelmed. I looked at the native speakers and thought, I will never speak like them. There are too many words, too much grammar. But then I decided to stop looking at the top of the mountain. I decided to just look at my feet. I told myself, Eric, today, just do 1%. Just listen to one short audio clip. Just learn 3 useful vocabulary chunks. That is all. And you know what? It worked. It felt so easy. It didn't feel like work at all. And after a few months, I looked back, and I was shocked at how far I had come. So, my friend, let's make a deal tonight. Let's throw away the pressure of being perfect. Let's forget about studying for hours until we are stressed. We are here to focus on that beautiful, simple, peaceful 1%. But how do we actually do this? How do we make our brains love this 1% change? Let's move on to Chapter 2, where we will talk about a concept that will completely change how you talk about yourself. Welcome to Chapter 2. This chapter is about identity. Now, what does identity mean? In simple terms, your identity is who you believe you are. It is the story you tell yourself about yourself. James Clear says there are 3 layers of behavior change. The first layer is outcomes. This is what you want to get. For example, I want to speak fluent English. The second layer is processes. This is what you do. For example, I will study grammar for 30 minutes every day. And the third, deepest layer is identity. This is what you believe. Most people start from the outside. They start with the outcome. I want to be fluent. And then they try to change their process. So, I will force myself to study. But they never change their identity. They still believe deep down, I am not a good language learner. I am bad at speaking. I always make mistakes. Do you see the problem here? If you believe you are bad at English, your brain will always try to make you act like someone who is bad at English. Your actions will fight against your beliefs. So, the secret to building lasting habits is to shift your identity. Instead of telling yourself, I am trying to learn English, I want you to start telling yourself, I am a communicator, or I am an English speaker. It sounds like a tiny difference in words, right? but the psychological power is incredible. Let me give you a beautiful example from the book. Imagine two people are trying to quit smoking. Someone offers them a cigarette. The first person says, "No thanks, I am trying to quit." It sounds good, right? But deep down, they still believe they are a smoker who is trying to be different. The second person says, "No thanks, I am not a smoker." Ah, do you hear the difference? They have shifted their identity. They no longer see themselves as a smoker. Now, let's bring this to your English journey. When you sit down to watch this video, or when you listen to English on your commute, do not think, "I am a stressed student studying a hard subject." No. Tell yourself, "I am an English speaker enjoying a cozy conversation with my friend Eric." Every time you practice, even for just 5 minutes, you are casting a vote for that new identity. Every small 1% action is a vote that says, "Yes, I am an English speaker." Warmly, leaning closer to the microphone. So, let me ask you, who do you want to become? Do you want to become a confident communicator? A curious global citizen? Someone who can share their ideas with the world? If yes, then start acting like that person today, in tiny ways. A confident communicator doesn't worry about being perfect. They just focus on connecting. And speaking of connecting, I have another wonderful comment from our subscriber Mailbag that leads us perfectly into our next chapter. Let's look at the actual laws of behavior change. Yes, it is time for our Mailbag segment. I love this part of the show. Today's letter comes from a listener named David from Madrid, Spain. David writes, "Hi Eric, I love the cozy vibe of your podcast. It makes me feel so relaxed, but I have a problem. I really want to practice my English speaking every evening. But when I get home from my office, I am so exhausted. I sit on my sofa, I see the TV remote control, and I automatically turn on Netflix. By the time I remember my English goal, it is already midnight and I have to go to bed. How can I break this loop?" David. Oh, my friend. I feel like you are looking into my living room. I think we have all been there. We have the best intentions, but our environment is designed for different habits. This brings us to the first law of behavior change in Atomic Habits. Make it obvious. You see, human beings are highly visual creatures. We often do things simply because they are right in front of us. If David gets home and the TV remote is sitting right in the middle of the sofa, guess what? He will turn on the TV. The TV is the most obvious cue in his environment. But where is his English book or his notebook? It is probably inside his bag or tucked away on a dark shelf. It is invisible. So, if you want to make a habit a natural part of your life, you must redesign your environment to make the cues obvious. How can David do this? Well, before he leaves for work in the morning, he can take his English notebook, open it to a fresh page, and put it right on his pillow or right on the sofa where he usually sits. And he can put the TV remote control inside a drawer in another room. Now, when he gets home, the sofa doesn't cue him to watch TV. Instead, the open notebook on his pillow is screaming, "Hey, look at me. Let's write down 3 English sentences today." This is what we call controlling your cues. Another amazing way to make your habits obvious is a technique called habit stacking. Habit stacking is when you take a new habit you want to build and you stack it on top of an old habit you already do every single day without thinking. The formula is very simple. After current habit, I will new habit. Let's think of some daily habits you already do. drinking your morning coffee, brushing your teeth, waiting for the train, washing the dishes. Now, let's stack English on top of them. For example, after I pour my morning cup of coffee, I will open my favorite English podcast and listen for 5 minutes. Or, while I am brushing my teeth, I will look in the mirror and think of 3 things I am grateful for in English. Or, after I wash the dinner dishes, I will write down 1 new English word in my notebook. Do you see how powerful this is? You don't need to find new time in your busy day. You are just attaching your 1% English habit to something you already do. Hey, speaking of habits, let's pause for a second. If you are listening to my voice right now, whether you are walking in the rain, doing the dishes, or lying in bed, I want to know you are here with me. I want to see if we can trigger the YouTube algorithm to share this warm space with more English learners around the world. If you want to build a shiny new English habit with me, I want you to go to the comment section right now and type the word habit in all capital letters. Just type habit, and if you want, write down 1 tiny habit you are going to stack today. Let's flood the comments with habit so the algorithm knows our cozy community is active and growing. Go ahead, type it in. I'll wait for you. Excellent. Now let's move on to the second law. Make it attractive. Now, let's talk about the second law. Make it attractive. Why do we need to make habits attractive? Well, our brains are wired for pleasure. We naturally want to do things that make us feel good, and we want to avoid things that feel like a chore. If you think of practicing English as a boring, painful task, like memorizing a long list of irregular verbs while sitting at a cold desk, your brain is going to fight it. It is not attractive. So, how do we make English attractive? James Clear suggests a brilliant method called temptation bundling. Temptation bundling is when you link an action you need to do, like practicing English, with an action you want to do, something that brings you immediate pleasure. Let me give you a fun story from the book. There was an engineering student named Ronan. He knew he needed to exercise on his stationary exercise bike, but he hated exercising. However, he absolutely loved watching Netflix. So, what did he do? He used his engineering skills. He wrote a computer program that would only allow Netflix to play if he was pedaling his exercise bike at a certain speed. If he stopped pedaling, Netflix would pause. Isn't that amazing? He bundled something he needed to do with something he wanted to do. Now, how can you use this for English? Let's bundle. Think about something you love. Maybe you love drinking a premium, delicious cup of coffee in the morning. Or maybe you love taking a long, hot bath at the end of the day. Or perhaps you love listening to cozy, relaxing instrumental music. Now, bundle your English with that pleasure. You can tell yourself, I am only allowed to listen to my favorite English story podcast while I am drinking my special caramel macchiato. Or, I will only listen to Eric's warm voice on Chill Chat English while I am relaxing in a hot bath. By doing this, your brain starts to link the English practice with the warm, happy feeling of the coffee or the bath. Suddenly, practicing English is no longer a chore. It becomes a treat. It becomes something you look forward to. Another way to make your habits attractive is to join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. If you surround yourself with people who love self-improvement, who love learning languages, and who support each other, you will naturally want to do those things too. That is why I am trying so hard to build this Chill Chat English community. We are not here to compete. We are not here to show off. We are here to sit together, drink our hot chocolate, and encourage each other. So remember, make it attractive. Treat yourself. Find a way to make your English time the coziest, most pleasant part of your day. Now, what about the actual action of doing the habit? How do we stop procrastinating? Let's look at the third law. Make it easy. Let's talk about the third law. Make it easy. I want to share a quote from Atomic Habits that blew my mind when I first read it. James Clear writes, "When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do." He calls this the 2-minute rule. Now, when I first read this, I thought, wait a minute, James, 2 minutes? How can anyone learn a language, or lose weight, or write a book by doing something for only 2 minutes? It sounds almost silly, right? But there is deep wisdom here. You see, the hardest part of any habit is simply getting started. It is what physicists call activation energy. Once you start doing something, it is much easier to continue. Think about Sarah, our subscriber who bought that massive grammar book. Her goal was to study for 1 hour. But when her brain thought about 1 hour of hard grammar study, it felt like a giant mountain. It felt so heavy. So her brain procrastinated, and she didn't start at all. But what if her goal was just open the grammar book to page 1? That takes less than 2 minutes. It is incredibly easy. Her brain cannot say no to that. So she opens the book. She reads 1 sentence. And then her brain thinks, well, I already opened the book. I am already sitting here. I might as well read 1 more page. And that is the secret. The point of the 2-minute rule is not to do the habit for only 2 minutes. The point is to get the ball rolling. It is to master the art of showing up. Because let's be honest, a habit must be established before it can be improved. If you can't master the basic habit of opening your English book every day, you can never master the habit of studying it. So, how can we apply the 2-minute rule to your English learning? Let's scale down your goals. Instead of, I will practice speaking English for 30 minutes today, scale it down to, I will speak just 1 sentence out loud. Instead of, I will listen to a long 45-minute podcast, scale it down to, I will play this video and listen to Eric for just 2 minutes. Instead of, I will write a long diary entry in English, scale it down to, I will write down just 1 vocabulary chunk in my notebook. It is so simple, right? And here is the beautiful thing. Even if you actually stop after 2 minutes, that is a win. You still cast a vote for your identity as an English speaker. You still showed up. You didn't break the chain. So, my friend, next time you feel too tired or too busy to practice English, don't skip it entirely. Just do the 2-minute version. Just listen to 1 minute of this video while you lie in bed. Keep the habit alive. Make it easy. Now, let's talk about how to make sure we keep doing our habits forever. Let's look at the 4th law. Make it satisfying. Now we are at the 4th law of behavior change. Make it satisfying. You see, our brains evolved in what scientists call an immediate return environment. Thousands of years ago, when our ancestors did something, they got an immediate reward. If they found a berry bush, they ate the berries and got immediate sugar. If they ran away from a tiger, they got immediate safety. But modern life is different. It is a delayed return environment. If you study English today, you don't wake up tomorrow speaking like a native speaker. The reward is delayed by months or even years. Because of this, our brains can get discouraged easily. We need a way to feel a sense of immediate satisfaction while we wait for the long-term results. So, how do we make English satisfying right now? One of my favorite ways is using a habit tracker. A habit tracker is simply a way to measure whether you did your habit today. It can be a calendar on your wall where you draw a big red X over today's date, or a simple app on your phone. There is an incredible psychological satisfaction in drawing that X on the calendar. It feels like a small victory. It is a visual proof of your progress. And as the chain of X's grows longer, you will start to feel very proud of yourself. Your brain will look at that chain and say, "I don't want to break this chain." But let's be realistic. Life happens. Sometimes you get sick. Sometimes you have an emergency at work. Sometimes you are just completely, utterly exhausted. And you miss a day. Is that okay? Yes, absolutely. James Clear has a golden rule for this. I want you to write this down in your heart. The rule is, never miss twice. Missing one day is an accident, but missing 2 days in a row is the start of a new, bad habit. When we miss one day, we often feel guilty. We think, "Oh, I ruined my perfect streak. I might as well give up." But James Clear says, no. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is not that successful people never make mistakes. The difference is that when successful people make a mistake, they dust themselves off and get back on track immediately. If you miss today, that is fine. Don't worry about it, but make sure tomorrow you do the 2-minute version. Make sure you don't miss twice. You know, I want to share something personal. When I started this YouTube channel, I was so nervous. I worried. What if people don't like my voice? What if I can't upload consistently? And there were weeks when I was too busy or too tired. I missed an upload. But I told myself, Eric, it's okay. You missed this week, but don't miss next week. Never miss twice. And that simple rule kept me going. It took away the pressure of being perfect. And that is what I want for you too. I want you to enjoy the process. I want you to feel satisfied every time you finish a tiny, bite-sized practice. Celebrate your small wins. You deserve it. Well, my friend, our mugs of hot chocolate are empty now, and the night is getting late. Before we say goodbye for tonight, I want to have a real heart-to-heart conversation with you. We talked a lot about atomic habits today. We talked about the 1% rule, shifting our identity, making habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. But I know that language learning can be a very emotional journey. Many of you who are listening to me right now might still feel a lot of anxiety when you try to speak English. You might feel embarrassed when you make a grammar mistake or when your pronunciation isn't perfect. I want to tell you a story. A few years ago, I was traveling in a foreign country. I was trying to order some food at a local restaurant using the language I was practicing. I was so nervous. My heart was beating fast. I looked at the waiter and I tried to say, "Can I have a glass of water, please?" But I used the wrong word. I accidentally said, "Can I have a glass of trash, please?" The waiter looked at me with a very confused face. I felt my face turn bright red. I wanted to disappear. But then, the waiter smiled and he realized what I meant. He laughed gently, brought me my water, and even taught me the correct word. In that moment, I realized something so important. Mistakes are not the enemy of learning. Mistakes are the learning. If you never make mistakes, it means you are not pushing yourself. You are not growing. So, when you speak English and you make a mistake, do not feel ashamed. Smile, take a deep breath, and tell yourself, "Ah, there is my 1% growth for today. I just learned something new." Embrace your mistakes. They are proof that you are brave. They are proof that you are trying. Thank you so much for sitting here with me tonight. If you found this podcast helpful, or if it made your night a little bit warmer, please hit that subscribe button and share this video with one friend who is also on their English journey. Let's grow our cozy, supportive community together. Remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be 1% better than yesterday. Go get some rest now. Sleep well, dream sweet, and I will see you in our next cozy chat. This is Eric, signing off from Chill Chat English. Good night, my friend.